So today, I just reviewed Mission Impossible 5 Rogue Nation. Now I'm going to review a movie that I just watched last night for I'd say maybe the 10th or 15th time. And I'd like to review it for you guys because I think it's a great movie. I just wanted to review Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a cult classic 80s film. And it is definitely one of the best live action and cartoon infused movies ever made. Because when you really think about it, this movie is a very gritty crime movie with just so much comedy and humor, but just enough to make it combine into one excellent movie. Bob Hoskins stars in this movie as a private detective named Eddie Valiant, and this movie takes place in California in the 1940s, right after World War II. And in this movie, he is a loose detective. He is going to solve a case involving a tune. And I know what you're thinking. What? The thing that surprised audiences in 1988, and the thing that even surprises me today, is how well they got the cartoon characters and the human characters to try to interact, even though the human characters, they're just actors and they're reacting to basically nothing. But the way that they animated it and the way that the movie flows, it's like they're always there. There's no moment in that movie where you feel like, oh, that character's just there or she's just there. There's always like an interaction or an action going on between cartoon characters and humans. And just the basic violence between cartoons and humans, how they're able to react to that, which I thought was really cool about this movie. And I still think that in terms of what they were able to accomplish, that's amazing for the 1980s. And at the same time, with him trying to solve the mystery, there's all this other stuff going on. I think it's really elevated by Bob Hoskins' awesome performance. And rest in peace, Bob Hoskins. He was a great actor. The first time I ever saw Roger Rabbit was when I was probably 8 years old. Now I'm 16 years old, so I'm twice that age. So when I watched this movie last night, since I hadn't seen it in like maybe 2 years, I couldn't believe the kind of stuff that they put in this movie and the fact that it's PG. I just can't believe the MPAA looked at it and said, okay, we'll put that for a PG rated movie. Eddie Valiant is walking to a bar where his, you could say, estranged girlfriend works, and he's trying to hide Roger in the process. He has him in his shirt. He pushes his head into the shirt, which then causes Roger to fall into his pants, therefore creating the illusion that he has what, in my opinion, from movie making experience, is the biggest erection I've ever seen. And the line that his girlfriend gives to him is, "Oh, do you have a rabbit in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?" Like, that scene's actually legitimately in the movie. When I was 8 years old, I never would have seen that. I never would have understood that. But now that I'm 16, I get to see all these things that I never really witnessed before. Now I get to see the movie for a more, like, mature aspect of it, which makes it even better because there's a lot of the mystery and the crime that you don't understand when you're 8 years old, but when you're 16, you definitely get it. I like the way that the sequences of events happen in this movie because they feel like one cohesive story. There's nothing that feels inconsistent. And my goodness gracious, Christopher Lloyd in this movie, whoa, that performance was very good. And something that I noticed when I watched this movie that I never noticed before is if you look real closely, every time Christopher Lloyd is not wearing his sunglasses, he never blinks, giving you a very interesting illusion. This judge kills Toons, which I think is such a violent thing. I mean, his justice system for Toons is you make a mistake or you do something by an accident and you're dead. He puts you through this thing called the dip and you just fry to death. I mean, wow. For little kids, that's very dark and disturbing. I mean, wow. I I watch a lot of movies and I've seen a lot of R-rated movies and I've seen some dark stuff, but for a movie like this that's all about killing Toons, possibly killing all the characters that at least I loved and that probably we all loved as kids, how dark and disturbing is that? This is actually the plot, one of the main plots of the movie. It's an allegory. once the plot goes on that Roger Rabbit is framed for murder, because the title's called Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he's framed for murder. I guess you guys can guess that. It also tries to delve deep into Eddie's personal life, where we find out that he's a cold man for a reason. Everything that happens in the movie, all the characters, the way they act, and the way they treat each other, are all for reasons. There's a reason why Eddie Valiant hates tunes. There's a reason why Eddie is very estranged from this girl that he goes and sees, which you could believe is his girlfriend. There's all a reason surrounding everything that happens in the movie, and that's one of the best aspects of it, in my opinion. I really love this movie. It's a great movie for kids. Adults will get a lot of laughs. I want to talk to you guys about the funniest part of the movie, in my opinion. It has one of the best puns I've ever heard. It is a hilarious scene, and I'm probably going to laugh out loud halfway through this, but I'll just explain it. So we're nearing towards the end of the movie, and Eddie and Jessica are captured. This gang, which is called the Toon Patrol, which I thought was kind of cool, is led by a group called the Weasels. And you could tell because they really are weasels. One of the weasels has to search Jessica. The guy reaches into her cleavage, and in the process, he gets a bear claw on his hand. He gets a cartoon bear claw on his hand. And as he's backing away and hitting boxes, Eddie looks at Jessica and says, "Nice booby trap."
I'll handle this one.
Nice booby trap.
Oh man, I can't believe they put that in the movie. Like, seriously, a scene like that is so risque and crude, but it's just laugh out loud hilarious because, that's what happens when you search down a woman's shirt without her permission. You get bear clawed. But this movie is all full of characters that you actually try and care about. You can actually really care where these characters are going, which is very smart writing. And as well as the director of the movie, Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis, for the 80s, was the brother that Spielberg never had. He made the movie called Back to the Future, which is a movie that I could watch every day and is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And then Back to the Future Part 2, which I actually think is even better than the first one. But at the same time, those three movies, along with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, are definitely some of the best films ever made because of what they could do, because of the imagination that this movie had in terms of how they could pit the characters with the cartoon characters was amazing. I loved how they were able to get all that chemistry, all that emotion when the actors, the human actors, they're just acting to nothing. Whenever a cartoon opens a door, I'm always amazed because I'm like, how did they do that? I'm still perplexed on how they were able to do that. Like, whenever Roger would open a door, or he would just slam into something, or when he would just, like, hop into a drawer, or just jump around and make papers just whoosh, I'm always amazed to see how that's possible. They really accomplished something incredible here. It's definitely one of Zemeckis' best. The film as a whole is treated with such care because of the director, the writing, the actors, and the fact that Steven Spielberg is the executive producer, which people really don't know about. Look, I can just go on forever and ever about how good this movie is, what it does, and going into this movie and watching the whole thing, I really can't seem to find any true problems with it or plot holes because everything works well as a whole. It's got a cool vibe, a dark and deep and disturbing subplot. It's one of those movies that, yes, it does a lot of things, but it's not one of those movies that does too many things. It does a lot, but it always seems to work out in terms of how the story is structured. And that is fantastic script writing. It's fantastic acting. The fantastic direction. This movie really is amazing. It really is. The plot is amazing. You're definitely invested throughout the entirety of this movie. And it's sad because a lot of my friends have never even heard of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. they haven't even heard of Jessica Rabbit. They haven't even heard of Bob Hoskins. It's really sad. Once the new generation came in late 90s, which is my generation, we were more into movies like Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, even though those are great movies, the Marvel movies. We don't really go back to view those types of movies. So guys, I'm going to give Who Framed Roger Rabbit an A. I think it is a fantastically wonderful film that was able to do everything right. The characters are great. The acting was great. The writing was spectacular. I'm going to be reviewing Back to the Future soon. But anyway, guys, I hope that you like this review as well. I'm going to be posting this review along with Rogue Nation very soon. I hope that you guys will, of course, crush that like button and just send me comments on whatever movies you want me to review. I will do anything for you guys. You guys are the best, and I can't wait to keep doing this. Stay tuned.